Kia ora, everybody. Very nice to be here, to be at your school. It's a big deal for me to come to schools. I got kicked out of school. So to walk into a school, to be standing in front of you now, speaking to so many of you, it's a big deal for me. I did not do well at school. I did not do well at school at all. I quite liked school though. School was one place that I felt safe. I didn't feel safe at home. My home was a scary place. I love my mum and dad. I love my mum and dad very much, but sadly, when my mum and dad were little, they were hurt. They were badly hurt. And when they grew up, they became parents. They ended up hurting me and my brothers and sisters. So my home was a scary place. I would have rather stayed at school every day and not go home. Because I knew that when I went home, something was going to happen. Someone was going to be angry, and someone was going to get hurt. So I would have rather stayed at school most days than go home. But at school I did not do well. Right from the start, I ended up in special classes for everything. So every day I would go to school, I'd go into the classroom, and I'd sit down with the other kids, and the bell would go and the day would get started, and I'd be sitting there on the mat, and I'd look out the window, and I'd see this lady walking across the school, and this lady, she'd walk all the way into our classroom, and she'd look over at me, and she'd go, "Timothy, come with me, please." She'd take me by the hand, and she'd walk me out of the class, and she'd take me across the school and into a little room. And in that little room, she would help me with my maths. She'd help me with my reading, because I was behind everybody else. Sometimes I even had to go to the staff room. And in the staff room, I had to see a lady who was what you call a speech therapist. And her job was to help me talk properly, because I couldn't talk properly. And one of the things she helped me with was how to pronounce TH words correctly. So she would make me sit in front of her, and she would say to me, "Timothy, Timothy, watch my mouth, watch my mouth." And she'd go, "This, then, there, that." And I had to copy her over and over again, making sure I put my tongue in the right position and pronounced TH words correctly. So I did not do well at school. And then one day, a new teacher came to our school, a brand new teacher. Me and my mate, we ended up in her class. Oh, I liked this teacher. I was 10 years old, and I was going to marry her. One Saturday morning, my mate, he comes to my house. He comes to my house. He looks at me and he says, "Hey, Tim, our new teacher, she just lives up the road." I looked at him and I said, "Hey!" And he goes, No, our new teacher, she just lives up the road." I said, "Whatever." And he said, "Come on in, I'll show you." I said, "Okay." So he takes me up the road and he brings me to this 2-story house. So the two of us are standing on the footpath looking at this 2-story house. I don't see her. I said, my mate, he's like, No, you wait. She lives there. She does. You wait, you'll see her. We wait there for ages. We don't see anybody. Now the two of us were standing there. We're watching this house. We start to get bored. Our eyes start to wander. Now next door to this house was another property. And on that property there was no house. But what there was were these big, tall plum trees. And the plums were ready. And they were shining bright and red. Me and my mate were standing here looking at this 2-story house. Our eyes start to wander. We see those plums. So we jump the fence, we climb up the plum trees, and we have ourselves a feed of plums. Now we're up there, we're eating those plums. And my mate, he looks at me and he says, "Hey, Tim, let's pick some plums and take them to our teacher." I'm like, "Hey, that's not a good idea. These are not our plums. What's our teacher going to say if we turn up with plums that don't belong to us? She's not going to be very happy." My mate, he says, "No, come on, man. She'll like it. She's cool." Okay, so we get down from the plum trees. We get our tops. We turn our tops in like this to make a hood, make a pouch. And then we fill them up with plums. Then we walk to the back of the property. We go through the fence. Now we're behind the house. We walk up to the back steps. We go up to the back, on the back porch. We're standing there at the back door. My mate knocks on the door. Now I'm thinking to myself that this is probably a good time to run away. I'm thinking to myself, our teacher probably doesn't live here at all. In fact, the people that do live here probably own those plum trees. It ain't going to look good us bringing them back their own plums. My mate, he sees me backing away. He's like, "No, man, it's all good. You wait, you'll see. It's our teacher." We hear footsteps come through the house. The footsteps come all the way to the back door. The back door opens. It is our teacher. "Good morning, boys. Brought you some plums, miss?" She goes, "Oh, thank you. Just wait here." She runs back inside, gets a bowl, comes running back. "Yeah, put your plums in here. Put your plums in here." So I put our plums into the bowl. She looks at us and she says, "And boys, thank you very much." And she says, "And next time you're up the plum trees, could you please bring me some more?" Okay. Now this teacher changed my life forever. This teacher changed my life forever. One day she walked into the classroom, and in her hand she had the latest batch of our handwritten stories. And I could see that she was not happy. She walked up to the front of the class, and she places our stories on a desk. And she looks at all of us, and she says, "I want more from you. I want more from each and every one of you." She then spoke to the girls. "Girls, I don't want to read any more stories about fairylands, lemonade rivers, marshmallow trees, ponies. Give me something more." She then looked at us boys. "Boys, I don't want to read any more stories about war, about guns and tanks. Give me something more." I'm sitting at my desk, looking at my teacher, remembering how much I want to marry her. So I'm thinking to myself, I want to write a story that my teacher's going to love. I want to write a story that she'll never forget. So I'm looking at my teacher and I think to myself, "What sort of things do you like, miss? What sort of things do you like?" And I thought, "Oh, I know what you like. I know the sort of things you like. I could write you a story that you'd like." So I get out my pad, I get out my pencil, and I write a story. I write a simple story. I write a story about a man taking a walk through a park. It just described him walking down the path, looking at the birds, the trees, the flowers. It talked about him seeing families together. Someone walking their dog, someone feeding ducks at a pond, a family having a picnic. Just a simple story. I talked about the sun, the blue sky, the clouds. My story finished with the man coming out of the park to where he could see the ocean. I put on my last full stop, got up from my chair. I was feeling pretty confident. I take my story, I walk over to my teacher's desk. My teacher's sitting there. She's marking out maths books. She sees me walking over. Just put your story there, please, Timothy. So I put my story there on top of the other stories. Then I go back and I sit in my desk and I forget all about it. Because I'm a kid and there's too many other things to think about. Next day at school, my teacher goes up to the front of the class. She looks over at me and she says, Timothy, come up to the front, please. I'm like, oh, what am I in trouble for now? What have I done wrong this time? I get up from my seat. I'm walking up the front. As I'm walking up the front, I'm thinking to myself, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm thinking about the last 24 hours. I haven't done anything wrong. I walk up to the front. My teacher's standing there. I stand beside her. Everybody's looking at me. And then my teacher reads my story to the class. She reads my story to the class. And when she's finished, she looks at me. And she says, Timothy, this is wonderful work. Well done. Excellent. Me, I'm confused. I'm like, and it doesn't end there. Then she goes, Timothy, come with me, please. I'm behind her. I'm like, I'll go anywhere with you, miss. My teacher takes me around other classes in the school, and my story is read to them as an example of good writing. I was not good at anything at school, and all of a sudden, I'm a writer. My teacher, she made me realize that I was more than what was going on at home. She opened up the whole world to me. She showed me that I could be so much more. And I believed every word that came out of that teacher's mouth because I adored her so much. If she had told me the sky was red, well, that's it, the sky is red. So when she told me that I was a writer and a good writer, that was it. I believed her. And I believed her so much that I have never stopped writing. And now I'm an award-winning author. That teacher changed my life. She changed my life. Sadly, I didn't get to marry her. Me and my mate were up the plum trees one day, eating plums. Because once we knew where she lived, that was it. We were always hanging out around her house, just so that we could see her. My mate liked her too. So one day we're up the plum trees, and this car comes past, and the car slows down, and it turns and starts to go into our teacher's driveway. Me and my mate were like, who's that? I don't know. Keep watching the car. The car goes up the driveway, parks in front of our teacher's house. Because we knew what our teacher's car looked like, and that was not her car. The car parks in front of her house, and a man gets out. Me and my mate, we get out of those plum trees. We're underneath the plum trees. We're like this. Who's that fella? I don't know. What's he doing here? That's our teacher. Well, he married her, and they moved away. I was lucky because I got to be in her class for that 1 year that she was at our school. She was at our school 1 year, and I was lucky because I got to be in her class. And she changed my life forever. From there, she moved. Changed her name, so I haven't found her yet. Well, I'm looking. I just want to thank her, you know, because she changed my life. She made such a huge impact to me. She changed my life. Her name was Miss Foot. Exactly, that's what we did. In the assembly. Man, in our school, we had the school principal. He liked to play the banjo. So during the assembly, he would do his own little concert. And no one was allowed to leave or move. So all the students had to sit there, and all the teachers had to sit there, and you could see the teachers sitting on the side. They were like, well, up the front, the principal. And one assembly, he ended it after he played the banjo, and he said, we have a new teacher joining us this term. And he looks over there, this is Miss Foot. And everybody laughed. Someone from the back yelled out, where's Mr. Hearn? Then we got a big telling off for being disrespectful, and rightly so. And then we all went back to this teacher's classroom, and we found out how lovely this teacher was, and no one ever laughed at her name again.